You know that even your AI couldn't get this question correctly. The question says y is equals to, in a bracket, we have 3x squared plus 5, then close the bracket, then we have another bracket, x raised to the power of 3 minus 2x. Now, even your AI could not get this question. Why? Because this is a question in differentiation calculus, and it's sometimes very complex in terms of you simplifying it. But in today's video, I'm going to be making sure you understand every aspect of this, and what I'm going to be using for this today is called the product rule. I'm using the product rule. So now we are going to be using the product rule to solve this particular question. You understand? Why do we use product rule? Firstly, that's what you need to know. Now we are using product rule because what you are seeing here is what two brackets are multiplying each other. So whenever you are multiplying in what are they calling it? Differentiation of calculus, you know that you are going to be using what? The product rule. And what's the formula for the product rule? Product rule says that the y over dx is equals to what? U dv over dx plus v du over dx. So now this is the product what? Rule. So now let's get into the solving. Now the third step I'm going to be using here is where most students make mistakes. So you need to wait till you see the third step. Now let's go. Step 1. Now step 1 is that you are going to be making this and this the value of what? U and v. Let me explain. You see, let u be equals to what? The first bracket, which is what? 3x squared plus 5. You understand what I did, right? Now let's continue. Now the next thing you're going to say is that let your v also be equals to what? The second bracket. You understand? So it's going to be what? X raised to the power of 3 minus 2x. You got what I'm doing, right? Now the next thing you are going to do is to say what? That's the step what? 2. Now what we are doing in step 2 is that you are going to what? Looking for what? Du over dv. You're going to be looking. What you're going to be looking for is what? Du over what? Dx. You understand? So you're going to be looking for du over dx and dv over dx. The two of them, you are looking for the both of them now. So now, if I'm looking for what? Du over dx. Now what I'm going to be doing here is that I'm going to be differentiating what? The aspect of what? U, for me to get du over dx. So I'll bring this out, and we have this part, which is what? 3x squared, then plus what? My 5. So now if I want to differentiate this, I'm going to be using this to what? Multiply the number here, then I'm going to be subtracting 1 there. So that's how you differentiate, using what? The second principle of differentiation. So you just say this multiplied by the coefficient here, then you subtract 1 from what? The power. So let me do that. Du over dx is then equals to what? This time this is going to give me 6. Then I'm going to be having what? X raised to the power of what? 2 minus 1 plus. Now whenever you see a normal number in differentiation, when you differentiate it, it's going to be what? 0. You understand? Just a number is going to be 0. So from here I'm going to be having du over dx to be equals to what? 6x. Why? Because if I say 2 raised to the power of 1, 2 minus 1 is going to give me 1. So x raised to the power of 1 is the same thing as x, plus 0 is still the same thing as what? 6x. So now we're getting what? Du over dx. Now let's get what? Dv over dx. So now, then, find dv over what? Dx. So now let me get my dv over dx. So now, dv over dx is that I'm going to bring out what? The value of v, and I'll what? Differentiate it. So now I have x raised to the power of 3, you understand? Minus 2x. So from this point, what am I going to do? I'm using what? The second principle of differentiation. So I'm using the 3 here to multiply the coefficient here, which is 1. You understand? So 3 times 1 is going to give me 3x. You understand? Then this is going to be what? 3 minus 1 minus what? Now the power of this place, which is 1, I'm using it to multiply this, which is what? 2 times 1, which is still 2. You understand? Then x raised to the power of what? 1 minus 1. Hope you're getting my point. Now from this point, I'm going to be having dv over dx, right? Then my dv over my dx is going to be equals to what? 3x raised to the power of what? 3 minus 1, which is 2, minus what? 2. Now let's simplify this. X raised to the power of what? 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 is what? 0. And anything raised to the power of 0, that's x raised to the power of 0 is going to be what? 1. 1 multiplied by this is still going to give me what? This. You understand? So now if you look at what we have done, we have did the first step, which the first step is that we are making L to be what? Now, so we are making our U to be the first part, our V to be the second part. Then our second step, what we are doing is to what? Find what? Our du over dx, and also find the dv over what? Dx. Now, let's jump into the third step, because this is where most students make mistakes. So now, let's go. Now, let's talk about the third step here, which is what? The bone of contention. Now, let's go. Step what? Step 3. So now what's step 3? Step 3 means that you are going to be inputting everything you have been solving for inside this what? Formula. So let's do that. Now I have my dy over what? Dx equals to what? My u dv over dx. Now I'm going to be getting the value of what? U. You understand? I'm putting it here. So what's the value of u? This part, right? So that's 3x squared plus 5. Now, whenever you are solving this aspect, you need to be very careful, because you might likely make mistake. You understand? So be very careful whenever you're solving this part. Then dv over what? Dx. So you are looking for the value of what? Dv over dx to multiply it with. So now, what's the value of dv over dx? 3x squared minus 2. You understand? Then we have what? Our addition plus what? We have what? V. What is our v? This other part, which is what? S raised to the power of 3. Put them in the brackets. Minus 2x. You understand? That's the aspect of what? V. Now they talk about what? Du over dx. Now what's our du over dx? Our what? 6x. So now this is where what? The work starts from. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let me wipe this place. So now from this point, what we are going to be doing is to say, we're going to be using this one to open this other bracket, because we are talking about multiplication here. You understand? So according to the normal rule of expansion of algebras, we're just going to be using this to multiply everything here, then this to multiply everything here. So let's do that now. So now we're going to be having 3x squared multiplied by what? Everything here, which is what? 3x squared minus 2. Then we have what? Plus what? Our 5 is going to also multiply everything inside this place. This is what? 3x squared. You understand me? Minus 2. So that's what this thing asks us to do. We are going to use here this one to multiply everything here, then this one to multiply everything here. That's the expansion we are talking about here. Then this one, since you just have only one value here, we're just going to be saying plus what? This is going to multiply this. This is going to multiply this. So this times this is going to be 6 times the number here, invisible 1. You understand? 6 times 1 is going to give us a 6. You understand? X times s raised to the power of 4, s raised to the power of 3 is going to give me what? S raised to the power of what? 4. You understand? Now from this point, I'm going to be saying 2 times 6 is going to give me what? 12. Minus times plus is going to give me what? Minus my 12. Then x times s is going to give me what? X squared. Now you understand my point? You understand what I'm doing now? So let's continue from this point. So what we'll be having here is that we are going to use this to multiply everything here. So what are we doing? We open what? The what? The brackets that we have here. So now what we are going to do is to say this multiplied by this. That's 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. X squared plus x squared is going to give me x raised to the power of what? 4. You understand? Minus this times this is going to give me what? 6. And I have what? My x squared here. You understand what I'm doing now? You're following, right? Now the next thing is to say what? Plus this time this is going to give me what? 15. Then I have what? My x squared. Now I want you to note something very, very well, is that now if you look at what I'm doing now, I'm putting out the sign before I multiply, but you're not supposed to put out the sign before you multiply, because the sign might change depending on what you are multiplying it with. You understand? So you need to be very careful with your signs also. If not, you make a mistake there. So now the same thing applies to this place. Plus minus will give me what? Minus. You understand? 2 times 5 is going to give me what? 10. Then I have what? My plus 6x raised to the power of 4 minus 12x raised to the power of what? 2. So now what are we going to do when we have something of this sort in terms of mathematical solving? What are we going to do? We're going to bring in all the ones that have 4, one part, the ones that have square, one part, then the number should be on its own also. So what we are doing here is to say what? Dy over dx, we'll forget it here because of the space of the board, is then equals to what? I have my 9x raised to the power of 4. Then I'm going to find which one? This other one that I have, which is what? 6x raised to the power of what? 4. You understand me? Now I have what? Minus 6x squared. You understand? Then plus 15x squared, then I have 1 again, I have square, minus 12x squared minus the last number, which is what? 10. So make sure everything you are writing is complete. You understand? Make sure everything is complete. So from this place I will have the y over the x is then equals to what? 9 plus this is going to give me what? 15x raised to the power of what? 4. Am I communicating? Now we have what? Minus 6x squared plus 15x, which is going to give us what? We're going to be getting what? 9 here. That's 9x squared. If we do this and this, we're going to be getting 9x squared. So if we minus it from here, we're going to be having minus 3x squared. Then we have our last number, which is what? Minus 10. You understand me? So according to what? The rule of what? That's the product rule. We have what? Our dy over dx to be equal to what? 15x raised to the power of 4 minus 3x raised to the power of 2 minus 10. Now that's our what? Final answer. So finally, we have simplified this question using what? The product rule of what? Differentiation. So whenever you see a question like this is the approach for it, and this is how to solve it and get the answer correctly. So if you know you understand this, I have other videos on sets, inequalities and stuff like that on my channel page that you can go through and watch and learn some other things in mathematics. Now I want you to comment which particular one you want me to do next. You want me to do the quotient rule or what? The chain rule. So just pick any one of your choice that you want me to post in my next video, and I'm going to be doing them just for you. And don't forget to comment in this video if it was helpful. Don't forget to give me a like if it was also helpful. Follow this channel for more tips like this. Subscribe to this channel. We'll see you in the next one. This is Axiom Mentories, and I remain inspired.